Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you back, or for the first time, to We'll Bring the Popcorn, your favorite film and TV podcast.
I want to move us now into our film review of the week, our first film, which is The Naked Gun. So this is technically, if you want to call it the fourth movie in this. This is kind of a significantly further down the line sequel, obviously, from the first three trio of, Naked Gun films starring the passing of Leslie Nielsen as, Frank Drebin in those incredibly funny original Naked Gun films. You have Liam Neeson playing Frank Drebin Jr. in this, and obviously Pamela Anderson stars in this as well. And I gotta preface this by saying I was going into this film with the absolute lowest of expectations, and I want to say that because when I get to how I feel about this film, you'll see why I feel as strongly as I do about this film. When I saw that it was Seth MacFarlane that was kind of helming this film and kind of really helping put it together, I had a lot of caution around it because while, in my opinion, like the first several seasons of Family Guy are some of my favorite like animated comedy humor type writing, it's fallen off drastically in quality in my opinion. And a lot of the stuff I've seen lately from Seth MacFarlane hasn't hit like it used to. So I was a little concerned, like, this is going to be kind of a dumb comedy that's just going to be pretty cringy and not funny. Even from the trailer itself, I was like, this looks like it might be a really bad movie. I say that to say, having seen this movie now, I don't recall a time of me audibly laughing as hard as I have at a movie like this in a long time. This movie is so freaking funny, hysterically funny, that I was laughing. Sometimes I forgot I was in a theater. I was laughing as loud as I did, and I don't find myself doing that very often anymore. And it's so freaking good, man. I was genuinely shocked at how good. Like, don't get me wrong, as a whole, it's not a cinematic masterpiece at all, but for a comedy, absolutely brilliant and what we needed.
Yeah, I came in with similar expectations. Like, I wasn't expecting a lot. Like, Seth MacFarlane has been very hit or miss. He does go very crass with a lot of the humor and stuff he does. And you're doing it with Liam Neeson, that you're like, okay, he's done some comedic stuff, and he also has done some comedic stuff with Seth as well. But it's like he hasn't really led a comedy film. And you're like, oh, how is he gonna do with leading comedy? And he was fantastic in it. Like, I hold the Naked Gun films in high regard as just so much fun. Like, Leslie Nielsen was a master of the kind of deadpan, straight-faced comedy. Like, he was so good in The Airplanes and with the Naked Guns and everything he did, because he could look you square in the eye, as serious as it could be, and say the most ridiculous things that come out of his mouth and never crack a smile, never break. And he was so funny, and it's like, well, you're trying to take his stuff and redo it. This version of Naked Gun, it's a love letter to those spoof parody comedies to the original Naked Guns. There's a lot of care to doing some throwbacks and paying respects to the Naked Gun while also letting it be itself and doing its own gags and stuff. But it's a love letter. It's hey, we love this type of spoof comedy film. We want to do another one. We're going to pay some great. I felt like they paid great respect to it. And I do want to touch on one thing, because when we're filming this, last night was the Reds and Braves game at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and they had a special opening with Liam Neeson doing a bit and a gag. And of course it was promoting the Naked Gun, but if anybody knows Leslie Nielsen and knows the bits and stuff he's done, he famously had a Monday Night Football game with the Cincinnati Bengals where he did a similar skit. So that felt like that was such another loving thing back to him, of that they did this skit in front of the Reds game. I'm like, all right, so yeah, they're doing the Reds here because to me, I don't know if it was purposeful or not, but to me it was like, all right, yeah, Leslie did the Bengals, Liam is doing the Reds. And that was just great to kind of see that kind of throwback. And they had Leslie's last name on a jersey, and they paid a lot of respect to him, because he does play a part in the film in a couple different ways. We've seen the gag in the trailer and stuff where he goes to his dad's picture and he's saying, hope you're proud of me, Daddy, and all that stuff.
So
and
funny.
A few other bits, but yeah, I laughed and I had such a good time. It's dumb humor. It's parody, it's spoof, it's over the top, it's ridiculous. There's 300,000 coffee cups being
So funny.
brought in. There's some jokes that don't work, but I had so much fun with it that when something didn't work as well as you thought it was going to, or they thought it was going to, I still had a blast watching it. Like, it was just, this is one that if you're having a bad day or a bad week and you want something just to make you smile and laugh, you turn this on.
Yeah. Like I can't stress that enough. Just audibly cackling in this film. Like, I was having such a good time, and it's a short movie. It's less than an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 25
This
minutes.
is a very, very short movie, which we don't get a ton of it. But I love it because the pacing of it was just fantastic in this film. It never overstayed its welcome. It stayed on course for the plot that they were having for the film
with the plot
with
device.
the plot device, which is another funny bit from that. But they just, like you said, they just took so much care to make it like a love letter to these spoof comedy films that we don't really get too much of these days. And what I love most, and I think this is where I think I'm going to give it the most flowers as far as like its brilliance as a comedy, is it could have dated itself in the movie by alluding to a ton of current pop culture references, and they don't. Like, there's like a Black Eyed Peas reference in there at one point, which is not necessarily like, don't get me wrong, love the Black Eyed Peas, but like, it's not a current reference, but it didn't date itself by trying to make a whole bunch of modern pop culture references in the film, which I think will help it last longer than they would if they tried to make a bunch of current references just to be hip with the time that it's in. Like, and I think that's absolutely brilliant writing on their part. I'm sure it was a conscious effort for them not to really make a ton of current references, and they didn't. And that scores huge points with me because it's going to make the film last even longer because you don't really have a ton of pop culture references in it that'll going to date it like a year or two from now, and you're going to go back and be like, oh yeah, I remember when that was a thing. They don't do that. It kind of lets the comedy work on itself, like without having to draw those references, and they just do such an amazing job at that.
Yeah, because the most modern thing they kind of reference is EV and electric cars, but they don't really go after, I mean, you know what they're making fun of, but they're not doing names and that, and like, yeah, I'll say, I don't know if I've ever truly lived until I saw Liam Neeson do a fight scene set to Fergalicious. Like,
Yeah, so good.
little bit of spoiler there, but you're still going to have a blast with that. Like, that was just ridiculous. But he carried it so well because he committed so hard to doing what Leslie Nielsen did, is play it straight face, straight lace. So he's still being the kind of the grumpy action star guy that we're used to seeing, but he handled humor much better than expected. Like, there's ridiculous stuff where, and we've seen in the trailers, he walks in and there's a note that says, "Pick me up to a bloody knife." And he picks it up like, I picked up your knife for you, and I stepped in this red. Like, it's dumb humor. Don't get us wrong. This is stupid, dumb humor. But it was so entertaining. Pamela Anderson was great, seeing her back in there, especially in the Blues Club thing. Her secret was like, they both committed hard to doing, and you have to. When you're being this silly and over the top and ridiculous with you have to commit. And that's what made Leslie Nielsen so great, is he committed to the bits, and it's known. If you know anything about him, he loves a good fart joke. He would take a little fart device with him on every interview. He's done it on Conan, and just everything he ever did, he had a fart device on him. He never went anywhere with it. And they paid tribute to that, which that wasn't the most, it was fun, but you know that was a kind of a tribute to him because he loved a good fart joke. So they took time out to make sure they honored him, not only the character he played, but the actor himself in it. And like I said, not everything works, but I didn't care because I was having so much fun. Like, everybody played their role so well. And you weren't sure if this type of spoof comedy would work well in this day and age, because we talk about it, so much stuff worked for the time period it was in. You're talking about the 80s and 90s when these movies came out, and you weren't sure if it was going to work that well. But because they did it as a love letter to that type of film, to the Naked Gun films, it worked so well for me.
Yeah, and I want to say two things. One, I'm glad that you're having a much better experience with this one than the movie you talked about last week, where we were on.
I said I can do dumb humor. I enjoyed this so much more than Happy Gilmore, which was kind of surprising.
We'll put a pin in that and go back to it. But but two, I love all of the tropes that it takes that makes a lot of those good classic spoof comedies work. There's a very hysterical silhouette comedy scene in that film where they're being spied on by him, and there's some what looks to be very inappropriate things going on in the silhouette, and it's just so funny, so well done. You know what scenes I'm talking about, but I'm very much not going to go into detail on that here. Go see the film for yourself, but it's so funny, it's so smart, like it just works, and I'm so glad that it did. And I gotta say, like, this movie was just a ton of fun, high rewatchability for me on this. I am going to watch this movie several times, and it's just, we've needed a comedy like this, I think, in a long time, because it's been a long time since we've really had one of these kind of parody spoof comedy films that really work. I mean, it's been maybe since the Scary Movie the early days of the Scary Movie
coming
franchise.
out next year for it.
Yeah, like it's been since like those like early aughts, still kind of doing that kind of thing and it working. And it's been a while since we've really had that, and I'm so glad, because there's very much an avenue for a film like this to be made now if they can do it right and hit the right tones and have the right jokes and have the right context to them. And this worked so brilliantly for me. And what I really love about this is people that I don't think would have enjoyed these are loving it. Are loving this movie. Like, I don't put any stock in like Rotten Tomato scores or anything. I thought for sure this film was going to get crucified in Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, this is a dumb comedy. Like, this is going to get crucified in Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like an 85, 86%.
It debuted at 100%.
Yeah, like but it's still sitting at like an 85, 86% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, which is insane, because these type of films very much tend to get skewered. But I think that goes to tell the right time, the right jokes, the right story. Like, everybody seems to be on board with really loving this film. Most everybody. Like, obviously there's always going to be people that don't like it for one reason or another, but the overwhelming majority of people have been very positive about this, and I love to see it.
Yeah, these spoof parody films were huge through the 80s, 90s, and going into the early 2000s stuff, because we had the Naked Guns, we had the Airplane films, we had Spaceballs, we had Hot Shots, which I still love to go back and revisit, but we had a lot of those spoof type of comedies and stuff. And yeah, after the Scary Movie, I can't think of anything past the Scary Movies in the last 20 years that have tried to really do that genre. And I think like I said, what works so well with this one is that there was care and attention to that genre, that it's got to be dumb and stupid, but it still tried to tell you a story, and it tried to take itself seriously. I mean, there's bits with the snowman that was just ridiculous, and one that made me laugh, and I don't know why it made me laugh as hard as it did, and this would be a little spoiler, but it's not a huge thing, is that Frank Drebin Jr. falls down some stairs.
Oh my God.
And then his mom calls him. And there's just something about a 70-year-old Liam Neeson falling downstairs and getting in an argument with his mom over the phone while he's trying to sneak into something like he's a teenager. Like, Mom, I'm busy. Like, just, it was hysterical to me that they just went with that sort of bit. Like, so he's trying to sneak in, but he falls downstairs and his mom calls. Like, it's that kind of stuff. It's going back to the well of those type of bits, but it does it in such an entertaining way because they committed so hard to it. Like, every actor in here committed. Even there's a running gag about the chief of police's husband, and they just commit so hard to that bit that it's just... It needed that level of commitment. If they didn't commit,
it wouldn't have worked.
The actors and everybody didn't commit as hard as they did, it wouldn't have worked as well as it did.
And they did, and they gave everything they had to this, and I think that's what makes it so good. I wonder if they're going to follow up on it or not, because there's been some rumblings that they may do a second one, and I kind of hope that they do, man, because they it's so rare that I really clamor hard for a sequel, but I had such a good time with this that I can't see them not going back to this well, because I think it's doing pretty well. I think it's on pace. Like, I don't think it's going to knock off Fantastic Four this weekend, but it's right up there in like the top 2 or 3, along with the movie we're getting ready to review here in a minute. But like, it's done fairly well. Like, I know the audience for this is most likely going to skew toward the older side, which I think was the case.
Everyone born back in the 1900s. Yeah,
if you have a 19 on your driver's license, you're probably going to love this movie. But like, it still works. Like I think it even works for younger audiences as well. It's just so silly and funny, and this is one of those just go turn your brain off and have a good time. Like just go laugh. There's nothing like overly offensive in this movie at all.
There's one sequence that could be the shadow silhouettes.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Like other types of offensive. You know what I mean? That
everyone takes offense to everything nowadays,
right?
So.
And this is one that, but it's not like offensive like that. You know what I mean? Like, and you see it and you'll know what I mean. But yeah, go check out this film. I loved it so much. I had a really good time.
Yeah, there were a few bits that of course, they needed to get people hyped up to see the Naked Gunning, and I wish, especially like the OJ one, would have been in the movie and not in all of the advertisements, because it would have probably been a lot funnier if we saw it for the first time in the film.
Movie, yeah.
But because they did some other things where, like, just for the price of a movie ticket, you can save comedy. Yeah. And they did those, which was really brilliant marketing and advertising and stuff for it. But they did show some of the crazier bits in the trailers, which you've got to show some stuff. But I do wish, like, at least the OJ bit would have been in the movie in there. But it had so many fun jokes. It was just, as I said, it's one, if you're having a bad day or a bad week or something, it's a perfect movie to get you to smile and laugh and just forget about your troubles for an hour and a half, because it was just that fun. Like that's why I got out of this, and like it still made me feel bad that I disliked Happy Gilmore 2 as much as I like, because it's not a spoof comedy. It's kind of near that genre. Yeah. But it's a dumb comedy type of movie, but I loved The Naked Gun so much more than that, and it was just so much fun. We did have a pretty good mix of people in the theater, from 60, 70-year-olds to teenagers in there, and it sounded like everybody in our screening had a blast with it.
Yeah, and I can't remember there being that much heavy laughter in a movie like that in a while. It's been a long time for sure. But in the end, The Naked Gun is just a love letter to the old school slapstick spoof comedy films. I'm more than happy to give him his flowers. Seth MacFarlane did an absolutely brilliant job of putting this together. Everybody committed so hard to making this film work, and it just does. I'm gonna give the film an 8 out of 10, purely based on the high rewatchability, the way the jokes land, the pacing of the comedies. Like, the pacing of the jokes works, the pacing of the film works. It doesn't overstay its welcome. The jokes are hilarious, most of them, and it's just a good time had in the theater, and for that reason, I have to give it an 8 out of 10, and it's one that I'll go back to the well and watch. It's going to be in my rotation of films that I watch on repeat for sure.
Yeah, there's just so much fun. I'm a huge fan of Leslie Nielsen. I loved Airplane, The Naked Gun, and just pretty much everything he did, because he perfected that serious deadpan slapstick comedy. And Liam Neeson, he held his own. He did well. Like, we're used to him being in drama and action stuff. He's done a few comedies, but he held his own so well. Pamela Anderson coming back to do a comedy like this again, she held so well. But like you said, everybody committed so hard. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's ludicrous, but it's one that it's supposed to be, and you have so much fun. And I'm giving it an 8 as well. Like, it's not going to match up to other films that are 8, 8.5, 9s with story and all that stuff. But it's because it was such a love letter. It was so entertaining. It was so funny. They committed so hard to it. It deserves that rating because it was that entertaining. Like, I can't think of a film that I've seen in theaters for comedy wise that I've enjoyed as much as this one in a very long time. And I do want to say, make sure to stay during the credits, because there's multiple gags to do. There's an extra little scene, which was okay, but there's another tribute to the original Naked Gun in there with the credit scroll and the police vehicle. But look at the names of the credits, because there's ridiculous. There's one, which I'll spoil just so you know the type of ridiculous in there. They're like, set dresser, and then there was, dresser for Liam and all that, and it said dressings, ranch, Italian. It's that ridiculous stuff that they did. But you also get Liam Neeson singing a song.
Hilarious.
In there too, and it's hysterical. There's so many different bits that are being done in that song and stuff too, and it just feels like a guy who's in his 70s, who's done mostly action stuff. It felt like he had a ball doing this film. Yeah. That song just felt like he was a little kid again.
Yeah, it was so so good to see him in a role like this, and I'd love to see them follow up on this, which I don't always clamor for coming out of films, but man, I'd love to see him try to capture this again. It was such an absolute blast. The Naked Gun is in theaters now. Go check it out. If you need a laugh, this has got so many over-the-top funny jokes in it that hit, and it's probably the best time I've had at a comedy in years in the theaters, and just go check it out and just laugh hysterically and kind of forget about all the craziness going on in the world and just go have a good time. This, as much as we love a good action film and the big budget films and the cinemas and, you know, the spectacle of it all, there's always going to be a place in my heart for a well-done comedy in the theater, going and seeing it, just laughing hysterically as well. And this is one of the best representatives of that I've seen in a long time in the theaters. Go check it out. Go laugh. Come to our Discord. Let us know what you think about it. Put your comments on the YouTube video. If you haven't followed us already, what are you doing? Follow us now if you're listening in the audio realm.
Now.
But come let us know what you think about it, and I'd love to have that conversation for sure.
Yeah, really looking forward to rewatching to see if there's references and gags that I didn't get. Like, what movie did this come from, or what actor, or what did this come from, like that, and then go back through the credits again and see all the stuff. It was just pure fun. It's just pure enjoyment. We haven't had something that's been that enjoyable. I'm hoping like Spaceballs 2 is going to have that same level of care and attention with bringing that spoof comedy back, along with the Scary Movie 376 that's about to come out. But I think it's like 7, but they had quite a run to it, but it's going to be interesting to see if this does kick off some more of the spoof comedies being able to come back, because you're talking about studios struggling with the budgets of stuff. If they can crank out more of these spoof fun comedies that don't cost a lot of money to make, then we could see a resurgence of them coming back.
I certainly hope so, man. I love a good comedy. If you go back in our archives and talk about some of our favorite movies of all time, I do enjoy like a big epic fantasy story, but man, a lot of my favorite movies are also comedies too. Like I just love to laugh at silly, absurd things in movies. And this is right up there with some of the best I've seen in a long time. So I'm happy that we went and checked this one out for sure.
Absolutely.
To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio realm on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.